It's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking college hoops. Headed to the ACC, where Notre Dame is heading to Duke. We've got a promo code. The code is LOVE for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. The Blue Devils are favored at home, -6.5. The total is 148.5. Notre Dame 7-10, 8-9 against the number. Meanwhile, Duke is 7-7, 3-11 against the spread, and fighting for their dear lives to stay alive in the talks for the NCAA tournament. It's been a terrible year for Duke, really bad against the spread, needless to say. But this is a bit of a different Duke team that we've seen in the past couple of games. They did lose to North Carolina, but they looked at least a little better offensively. Put up points. We've got Nick from the Insider's Room to break this one all down for us. Nick, what stands out to you about Duke and Notre Dame going head to head?
Two great programs, which have seen better days, obviously, coming into this one. Notre Dame, it's just 3-5 straight up on the road. Duke, it's just 1-4 straight up at home. After losing 62-51 to Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, it's been on a little bit of a roll now. It's won 2 of its last 3. But the Irish did lose a close one to Georgia Tech last time out, 82-80 as 3.5-point underdogs. So they did get the cover, but they lost the game outright. Now, this is the first game between the schools this year. Last year, Duke won this game 75-65. After this, the Irish have a game against Miami and then Clemson, both of those games coming at home. Now, over on the Duke side, it beat Clemson 79-53 at home, but then it's lost 2 straight. It lost to 77-75 at Miami, and then 91-87 at North Carolina last week, at home to North Carolina. So in that game, or in both of those games, the Blue Devils were the favorites. Each game they lost outright. So with a game at NC State up next, Chelsa, I'm going to argue that for sure this one means a lot more to the Blue Devils, who I expect to lay everything on the line here to try and get back into the winner's circle, and especially before that difficult road game. But as I mentioned about Notre Dame, its 2-game win streak, it was snapped in that heartbreaking fashion to Georgia Tech. And with a much more winnable game at home against 7-11 Miami up next, I think that this is sort of a letdown, look-ahead trap game, whatever you want to call it, for Notre Dame here. And so, yeah, in this game of 2 struggling schools, Chelsa, I think it actually sets up really well for the Blue Devils.
Right. The last time out, Duke did beat Notre Dame by 10, covering easily as 2.5-point favorites in that one. But yeah, I think Duke is at least trending in the right direction. They looked a lot better versus North Carolina, as I mentioned, at least being able to score, which has been an issue for them. Carolina is actually a good rebounding team, so I think the fact that they kept up with a team that is good on boards like that is a good sign. The problem with Duke is they have not been getting to the free throw line very often. I think they ranked dead last in free throws shots, in the ACC. So I think that's definitely a problem for Duke. But yeah, I think it's a better spot for Duke, that at some point the trend has to go in the other direction. And when you talk about betting, obviously Duke's a team that has not been good against the number, but I think at some point that's got to correct itself. Anything else you think bettors should know about this one, or are you looking at a total?
You brought up a good point there, just about offensive consistency from game to game from Duke there, not getting to the foul line like it usually does. But as I say, I do think this one sets up situationally for it. But as far as the total is concerned, I'd lean to the under here. Duke's seen the total go over in 2 straight, but it's 2 losses. So the Blue Devils, I think, they're going to have to double down on the defensive side to try and get the victory here. And as far as Notre Dame, it did go over in its last game. But previous to that, it had seen the total go under in 5 straight. So I think it's going to return to its normal sort of difficult, lower scoring ways here as well. So yeah, that's my call on the total. I'm going to go with the under.
One final nugget. Notre Dame 0-7 against the spread in their last 7 games against Duke. I know this is not the same Duke team as some of those years past, but still something you should probably know if you're betting on this game. That's going to do it for our college basketball talk here on Picks and Parlays. Great stuff from Nick from the Insider's Room. Nick, thanks for joining us.